How's it going, everybody? I'm your host Sean with Paper Planes, and welcome to my Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition walkthrough. This is a complete playthrough. I'm going to do every single thing in the game. I'm going to collect every item that I possibly can, and I'm going to explain things as I go through. I'm not just going to be playing around. This is serious business. I'm going to do every single possible thing I can think of. Alright, so this is more of a teaching tool as well as a playthrough where you can watch me play the game, but I'm not going to be doing anything goofy or any kind of challenges that I normally do. This is straight up knowledge, and it's going to teach you guys a lot of the core basics to the game. So if you're a new player, you should watch this if you're having troubles, or if you're an older veteran player, you might learn something new. You can always learn something by watching other people play a game. Alright everybody, so thanks a lot for checking it out, and enjoy. Okay, so first off, before you start anything up, I need to make sure that you guys understand this. If you're playing on a console like Xbox or PS3, don't worry about this part. But if you're playing on a PC, you need to install this mod. It's called the DS Fix mod, and I'm going to have a link below and a video annotation with my video on how to install this mod. It's essential. You have to have it for the PC. Otherwise, you won't experience the game the way it was intended to be experienced. It's a beautiful game, and when you unlock it on the PC with its full potential, you'll just enjoy it a million times over. It's almost unplayable without the mod. So before you do anything else, install this mod. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a new character here. So we're just going to enter in, let's see, we'll just do my name here. And for the sex, we'll do a male. Class, this is a general thing. It's obviously your preference, but I would recommend doing Pyromancer for every playthrough that you do. If you don't want to do Pyromancer, my second class that I would choose would be a Thief. And I'm going to explain why. The Pyromancer starts off with a flame, and the flame is a weapon, essentially. It's almost like a sorcery-enabled item. So when you have the flame and you have that equipped, you can cast pyromancies. And pyromancies are key because they don't require any stats. So you could be a level 1 character and be as powerful pyromancer as a capped level character. So that is very powerful early game item, and it's powerful throughout the whole game, and it's super convenient. The only thing that you'll have to have is attunement slots and the pyromancy spells you want to cast. And we'll go over all that stuff in the future, but just keep in mind that Pyromancer is the go-to class. Now, what is the difference, you might ask, between a hunter or a sorcerer? Basically, nothing. You just have different starting stats and different equipment, but you can obtain all of this stuff while you're playing. So just because you start off with a hunter doesn't mean you can't play as a casting character. It's just really a simple guideline to say, okay, I'm going to play a hunter. I like this look. Let me just go ahead and select that. So you start off with that gear. But, you know, your starting weapons aren't your biggest concern because you can always get through the earlier stages with some experience and know-how with anything. I mean, I can run around and beat up on every enemy and every boss in the game as a level 1. But you just have to have the know-how to do so. So, and the reason I mentioned the Thief is because the Thief, you can start with a special gift called the Master Key. And, you know, that's the only other reason I would say the Thief. But when you choose Pyromancer, you'll next have this selection called Gift. And that's also a place where you can get the Master Key. Now, I suggest getting the Master Key 100% of the time. The only other reason you wouldn't get a Master Key is you would select Black Firebombs, and that's just so you can kill the Asylum demon at your very first encounter. I've got a video on that you can check out below as well, but the key here is general playthrough, overall knowledge. So you don't need to do that. You don't need to kill the Asylum demon on your first encounter and get the hammer that it drops. It's really pointless, and you'll probably never use that item. It's just for people who want to be total completionists. So, and don't worry, there's no achievement attached to it or anything like that. Physique, I always have this theory that if you pick the smallest character, that you probably have a smaller hitbox, or you're going to navigate easier. You're going to be able to see things around you better. So regardless if that's true or not, I just feel like that's the best way to go about it. If you pick a big character, a big bulky character, it just gives you the perception that you're moving slower than you actually are. And it's kind of like a cumbersome thing. I actually experienced that a lot when I was playing MMOs like WoW or anything else where you have this really big character. It just feels like they're plodding across the screen, and it just kind of fatigues you while you're playing. You're like, when am I going to get there? So, that's just a preference of mine. How my character looks, I don't really care. I mean, obviously there's some goofy looking people and some really like strange looking characters. I'm just gonna, like you can customize it. You see that there. You see that option next to the accept button, but I don't care about that. It's just whatever. Pick some semi-long hair. And since we're gonna do a pyro default character, I think I'm going to do dark red. I kind of like that look for a pyromancer character. Now, I'm playing this game however I choose to, whatever way I feel is most effective. So I'll be using all kinds of abilities, but my favorite abilities to use are the pyromancies because they don't require anything and you can obtain them pretty early in the game. So let's go ahead and start this up. Yes, we are okay. I'm going to skip through all cinematics, guys. I don't want to spoil any of that part of the game for you if you haven't experienced that already. So here we start off in the Asylum. You're basically imprisoned, and there's a corpse that fell through the top there, and you grab the key off of him. You see here we've got this broken sword. I'll go ahead and go into the user interface right now. I'm playing on PC, but I'm actually using my Xbox controller. It's a Microsoft controller made for Windows. So I'm using this, and so that's why you see that familiar interface there if you're playing on Xbox as well. I'm going to say right now, if you're playing on the PC, keyboard and mouse is really bad. And they've made some mods to try to fix that, but it's not good. You should play this on a controller. That's how they designed the game. So when it's first designed to be one way, hence the controller, usually when they redevelop it and try to input new methods like the keyboard and mouse, it's not as good, it's not as effective, doesn't have the same feel. So go with the controller if you have that option. Alright, so here we've got the inventory items screen. You can see here, if you just use your direction pad, you can scroll through and check out your items. As you see, here's my armor section. Everything with the little red stamp on it basically means that it's equipped. And then we'll go back. This is my straight sword hilt. Hilt just meaning like I don't have a blade on it. It's a really weak weapon. You start off with this thing and you're going to trash it almost immediately. Here is my first pyromancy spell. I already get it. I don't have to loot it from anything. And this is a pretty good spell. I mean, it increases in its power as I upgrade my pyromancy flame. So we'll get into that in more detail soon. But that is also another weapon that I start with, whereas with most classes you don't get anything else. Here you see my master key. The master key is going to open up special locked doors that I can't get to in a lot of earlier stages without moving around certain levels and backtracking. So it's very convenient. This section here is where you'll have Titanite and other upgrade materials. And then this is where you'll spend most of your time in your inventory once you start looting things like souls and health items, things like that. They'll all end up right here. And this is a black separation crystal. A lot of people ask me, they'll check out my my video on how to do co-op. You should definitely look at that too. That's that's probably the thing I get asked the most about is how do I co-op in Dark Souls. So check out that video too. I'll provide links for that. But this is how you actually leave someone's game. So if you're playing with your friend or you're playing with someone else who you didn't intend to join up with and you want to get out of their world, you just use that item. And even though it says you have one, you can always use it. It doesn't go away. It's inexhaustible. And here is your dark sign. And this basically, if you want to go home, like you're just out in an area where you get stuck or lost and you need to return to a bonfire, you just use that, but you lose humanity and souls. So it's basically like a suicide. Alright, so that's good enough for that. We'll go to the weapon equipment area here. Here's where you can check out your armor and like different slots. You can equip rings. This is where you'll equip your special items as far as like usables, consumables, health items, things like that. And then you can hold on to 2 different weapons or 4 different weapons if you don't use any kind of shields. So that just depends on your preference there. This is the status screen. So you can see here that my character name's Sean. I'm level 1. I have 0 souls. And then a list of all my status, basically my stats. And then my hit points, stamina, equipment load. Equipment load is key. You want to remain under 50% equipment load so you can move at a certain speed. I like to personally remain under 25% so I can move as fast as possible. So anything 25% equipment load or below, you're always going to move at top speed. So having 51 equipment load, that basically means that I want to stay below 12.5. Alright, so and let's see here. On the right, we've got our resistance and our poise numbers. Poise just means how much damage you can take before it breaks your guard or staggers you. So poise is important if you're taking a lot of damage and fighting in close. Also, we've got item discovery. There's ways to increase item discovery. You can increase item discovery by having special items. You can increase it by having higher humanity counts. There's different things like that. And then there's the attunement slot. The attunement slot is what I was talking to you about having spells and being able to use them. Just because I have 10 spells or whatever, how many spells I have, I can only equip 2 of them right now because I have 2 attunement slots. And you attune spells at bonfires, so you can't just do that in the middle of combat. It's already something that's predetermined when you rest at a bonfire. And here's the system options screen. I'm not going to go into any of this right now. But, this is actually where you go to quit the game when you're done playing. And then whatever you want to do if you need to change brightness and whatnot. So you can all figure that stuff out. Alright, let's get into the fun. Here's the player messages. These are default messages by the developers themselves. So let's actually go back real quick so we can check out this first one. It says right stick camera control. Really simple. Right joystick. This is how you change the camera. It doesn't change the orientation of your character. So you're going to use both of those at the same time. You're going to be moving with your left joystick and looking around with your right. Alright, this says right bumper does your standard attack. So we're going to walk up to this guy and just click on the right bumper and hit him a couple times and he's going down. Alright. Right trigger is strong attack. You can see here that it's a slower attack and it leaves you a little bit more exposed. There's a big boy in there. You'll get to fight him later. You can look forward to that. Trust me, it's fun. Psych. Okay, so here we've got this guy and I'm gonna tell you to target him. You down press on the right joystick and then you press, if you want to do your heavy attack, you do the right trigger button. So I was a little bit too far away, you saw there, and each weapon has its own range. Since this is just a hilt, obviously the range is pretty small because you have to lunge so far to hit something. But there we go. It's not much bigger damage than the regular attack, but it is a little bit more effective. Look at that, dead rat. Yummy, yummy. Alright, so here we see left stick and hold B to run. So you're just going to press on forward and hold down the B button and you'll sprint ahead. Here it's re-explaining the targeting system that I just told you. Down press on the right stick. Alright, so now we got that, and I'm going to two-hand my weapon, and to do that I press the Y button. Now you see I kill him in 3 hits instead of 4. And realistically, you shouldn't be able to do more damage holding a hilt with 2 hands than 1. But hey, that's just how the game goes. Alright, so let's see, I get back to one-handing that. I look kind of ridiculous holding that sword hilt with 2 hands. This here says rest at bonfire to recover hit points. So if I was damaged or yeah, I mean, if I was damaged, basically I would light the bonfire, and that really doesn't do anything. Then you need to rest at the bonfire. And resting at the bonfire, not only does it restore your health, it creates that as your last, not save necessarily. I mean, yeah, it is your last save point, but it's also the last bonfire that you'll resurrect at. So just lighting the bonfire doesn't do that for you, but resting at the bonfire will do that for you. And another huge thing that you've got to understand is when you rest at a bonfire, all the enemies around you that you just killed, except for bosses and certain rare mobs, will respawn. So it's a good way to farm on souls, but it's also a way to slow down your progress. So if you don't necessarily need to rest, like if you've already lit and rested at a bonfire before, and you know, you're still pretty close to one, there's no reason to just run back and rest just because you want to restore a little bit of health. You want to keep progressing through the game, or else you're going to have to fight those same enemies that you just killed over and over again until you get to the spot you want to. So here you see the attune magic thing. Since I've already got my one magic, my pyromancy spell equipped, I don't need to do anything here, but I was just going to show you how that works. So let's remove that, and to do that we click the blue button or X, and now if I want to attune a magic spell, I'll just go to the attunement, I'll click on the empty slot that I want to equip something, and then I'll click on the spell that I want to put there. So now I've got that there, and I can leave, and you see the fireball spell is up in my directional area. So it basically, if I had other spells, I would alternate do that with that by pressing upward on the directional pad, not the left joystick, but the directional pad. Alright, and if I want to change weapons, see, I've got bare fist in my right hand, and I click the right directional pad to attain that. You can see here it's got those four blocks in the left corner, and that's basically for each directional pad is what controls that specific item. So I want to get back to my sword hilt, I press the right directional pad. There's nothing else in my left hand either, so if I press that again, I still have nothing there. And the down directional pad is where you'll have the consumable items, like your health items and things like that. Alright, so let's go over here and open this. Oh, we can't do that. So this is something that you'll come across very often in this game. You'll come to doors that are locked. You can't get to them. You have to use a puzzle or a contraption to open them. So that's a little bit of the RPG element to this game. You're going to have to find ways around certain rooms and to get in through the back door. If you want to roll, you press the B button. You can back step if you're not pressing in any direction. Or if you want to roll, you're going to start walking or running in a certain direction and then press the B button, and you can do that. Alright, so let's go in this room here. Now I know a lot of you, if you're playing along or if you're just watching, you might be able to hear or sense that heavy movement. There's big footsteps going on, and that's the Asylum demon that I looked at down below through the bars when we were first walking. But there's also a big boy up there just waiting for you, and if we walk backwards we can see him. There he is. Pretty sweet. And the first time you guys play this game, I know a lot of you are just running in here and you're like, oh, what's this? You're going to read this note, get away, and then this big boy just comes running down. So at that point, you're going to head over to this door. When you walk in, it closes and you're in the safe zone. Don't try to fight this guy right now. All you've got is this sword hilt, and you're doomed if you try. So there's a special way to kill him, though, at the beginning of the game, and to do that, you have to select the black fire bombs as your gift, and I'll show you a video on how to do that as well. Okay, so here we are at our second bonfire. Let's go ahead and tap this here. We took a little bit of damage, and as you see, just lighting the bonfire doesn't restore my health. So I'm going to rest at the bonfire, and now my health is completely restored. Okay, and you see in the bottom right corner I've got 60 souls. That's because I've killed 3 enemies, 3 weak enemies, and they give you a little bit of souls there. So here we can pillage the corpse, and this is our first shield that we get. So I'm going to press the start button, go to my change equipment slot, and go down here and equip the cracked round shield. Now let's read these notes here. Okay, there, I just went through that whole scenario, and let's check out this one. with left shield equipped guard. So left bumper holds the shield out, but I don't have anything in that hand yet. Even though I equipped it, I'm still on my other left hand item. So I need to press the left direction, and now I've got my shield. And if I hold the right bumper, I've got my guard out. Now, if I hit my left trigger, it's going to do a whole different animation, and you'll learn more about that in a second. So let's just show you. I can block some of this damage, and I can move forward towards this guy. Okay, now he's out and I'm in the clear. So here we go. We get our first real weapon. This is the hand axe. It's a pretty good starter weapon, to be honest with you. I like this item. I'm going to use it. I don't always use the targeting, especially when I'm free running. I think you can dodge arrows and stuff like that a lot easier. So we'll let this guy shoot and you just move out of the way. Now, word of caution, the arrows will follow you slightly. So just because you move a little bit out of the original trajectory doesn't mean you're completely safe. They have like a sort of bend to them, and it's kind of cheap, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and kill this guy. And he'll pull out his sword if you get a little bit too close and start melee attacking you. So you're not always just fighting an archer. They have other weapons just like you do too. So when you enter this traversing the white light, which you'll hear other players and it'll be referred to as a fog gate, normally that means you're coming across a boss or a severe enemy. This isn't the case right here. However, always take caution when you're moving through a fog gate. Expect the worst behind it, and if not, at least you were prepared for some kind of battle. Okay, so here we've got another note. It's saying backstep, so you can hit that B button, and just like I told you to roll, you hit the direction you want to roll, and then you press the B button. So let's go over here, and what do we have? And this whole game is about exploring. You guys want to explore. If you think that a wall looks funky, you might hit it and something could happen. But obviously not there. So basically you want to explore. You want to look for all the items you can. Items reveal themselves by these glowing lights, and those are basically souls. That's what I call them, at least. I know it's not specifically a soul, but I'm going to refer to them as souls because that's what it feels like to me, and that's exactly what the soul graphic looks like. So we're always going to call items and souls kind of the same thing. You'll hear me refer to that stuff in a similar tone, so don't get confused when I'm saying go grab that soul or go grab that item, because essentially they're the same in my mind. Alright, so over here, this wall looks a little funky. You can see something was behind there if you come over here. And you're like, okay, well, how do I get to that dude? He's just chilling back there. Looks like a nice armor set, something I might want to wear myself. So we'll try to figure that out in a second. But, okay. So here is that locked door that led to the first bonfire that we approached. So now we know where that is and that door is open. So we're good with that. So we've got another way to enter this area. Now, a lot of you will get caught by this the first time and probably many more times. This is a trap, and it's one of the standard things that they do in this game. You come up these stairs and this guy pushes that big boulder down. Then he's going to start wandering down the stairs once you come upwards and he can see you. So we're going to come a little bit slow and we'll engage him just with our shield out. I'm going to show you. Now, if you're not good at acting fast, you might just want to play it like this and just hold your shield, let him do his attack, and then hit him up. He's going to do a little bit of damage just because this shield doesn't do 100% physical reduction. So we'll take a look at that by displaying what it does. And you see damage reduction, physical resistance 65. So it blocks 65% of the physical damage that's incoming on that particular attack, which is good for now because we don't have anything otherwise. But you see here what that boulder did is it came in and smashed the wall through. There's the boulder right there, just chilling. Okay, now we get to talk to this guy.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you?
Okay, he's going to ask you if you'll hear him out. Of course you want to hear what he has to say, so you're going to say yes. Typically, when you come into conversations with other NPCs, you're going to want to say yes as a default, but you always want to pay attention to what they're saying. But if for some reason you sped through the dialogue or you just weren't paying attention, you have ADD, whatever it is, girlfriend's yelling in your ear, just say yes. It's not always going to work, but it's like, you know, the Sex Panther cologne. 60% of the time, it works every time. So just say yes and hope for the best.
I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family, "Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know." Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask, an undead favorite.
Okay, so this will come to be your most relied upon item in the game. Estus Flask, this is your health source. This is what restores your health while you're in the battlefield when you're away from a bonfire. There's other items that do this, but this will be your most heavily relied upon one. And it doesn't do your full health bar. You can improve upon your Estus Flask, but there's a limit to how much it'll heal. So you need to be aware of that. You don't want to use it like right now when I only have a tiny piece of health taken away. It would be wasted to use an Estus Flask right here. We can also improve upon how many Estus Flasks we can hold. And that's by kindling bonfire, and we'll get into that a little bit later too. Alright, so let's accept this item.
Oh, and this.
And here we have the Undead Asylum F2 East Key. And the East Key is basically going to allow us entrance into a specific area of this asylum, which you'll see in a second.
Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
Okay, so you're going to walk away from this guy, and he's basically telling you that he's about to die. So you can do one of two things. You can just swing at him and kill him, or he's going to die any second now. And you can just hear that death sound. So you come back in here, and you get the souls anyway, okay? Now there's nothing to loot, so don't go crazy and be like, what, where, gimme, gimme, gimme. But, okay, and here we've got the use item, and that's just to tell you how to drink your Estus Flask. I'm not going to do that right now, because I don't want to waste it. But that's there for me in the future whenever I have damage. And here's the door. You see we're using our F2 East key. So you cannot progress without communicating with that guy. And there's for good reason, because you want to get the Estus Flask from him. Alright, wield right weapon, two-handed. We went over that. You can see that there. Two-handed is just going to make it more powerful attack. And it's definitely something that you want to do if you're not using a shield. Two-handed attacks... Holding a weapon with two hands can also help you hold a weapon that otherwise you wouldn't be able to attack with one hand, such as certain strength requirements. So if I was trying to hold a big boy weapon right now, I might be able to use it with two hands where I couldn't use it with one. So that's a pretty cool design that they put in the game, because it makes sense. And here it's telling us how to kick and also the jump attack. So the jump attack, we're going to be running and hit the right trigger. So you can see that. Now, let's see. It doesn't always work with certain weapons. Not all weapons have jump attacks. But, it could be different if you're two-handing a weapon. And I'm going to show you some items that do have jump attacks. We can't do that with this one, but we'll see that soon. And then it's going to tell you how to do the kick. And the kick is just... moving the left joystick and pressing the right bumper at the exact same time. You can't do it like slowly or, if your timing is off, it's not going to kick. And it's not easy to do. A lot of people ask, hey, how do I kick? And to be honest with you, the first million times I played this game, I never kicked. If I kicked, it was an accident. Because when I first read these tutorial prompts, I was like, okay, this is how I kick. And then I did something like this. I was like, I don't get it. That's just a regular attack. And that's because I was moving my left joystick and then pressing the right bumper. But you want to do it simultaneously at the same time. Yeah, baby. And you're going to see that in action very soon. Resting at bonfire revives enemies. I went over that as well. Let's collect this item here. Here is our pyromancy flame, and you'll see me use that in a second, but before I go anywhere else, I want to equip that item. And I'm going to equip it in my right hand so that I can always have my shield in my left. I always want to have ability to defend myself. I think teaching players to fight with the defensive mindset first is the best way to learn this game, because once you're better at it and once you're more skilled, then you can play through the game with more challenge, like not using a shield at all or just relying on dodging and rolling. Now, dodging and rolling and parrying and counterattacking, that's the best way to go through it and deal the most damage. But if you're not at that level of skill yet, the shield is your best friend, and you can get through a lot of this game just relying on the shield and holding it out in front of you. Okay, so here we go. We've got this guy right here. Let's bring him out. Come on, buddy. You know you want to play. Show YouTube what you can do. So we're focused on him, and we're going to kick him, and now we're going to attack him. See, when you kick an enemy, it breaks their poise. So it's perfect for enemies that are holding shields. You'll see in the future we've got some enemies that hold shields and they have spears, and they just stand there and they never break their guard. It's like a waiting game. It's really annoying. But if you kick them, they stagger and throw their hands back, and then you can just chomp, 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 and they're dead. So it's super easy way to kill people, and I wish I had utilized that a lot earlier in my own games. So let's get this guy to chase me, and we've got an archer behind him, and the archer can just shoot through his undead buddies, but he will definitely hurt you. So let's go here. I'm going to show you the roll. There you see there. And there's our two-handed power attack. That was two-handed weapon plus the right trigger, and it's a one-kill hit. So you saw that. That was nice. Now you want to time this guy. You see that he's lost sight of you, so he stopped shooting his arrow. Then you can just rush in here. We're going to get behind him. When you get behind him, you can hit him with a critical blow. And whenever you do critical damage enough to kill an enemy with one blow, basically if you deal excessive amounts of damage, you're going to get something called an overkill. And that's why I got 24 souls from him instead of 20. Overkill just gives you 20% more souls from a defeated enemy. So that's something you want to try to utilize as often as possible. Alright, so here it says, while falling, use the right bumper for a plunging attack. So obviously that's a little bit of foreshadowing there. We see that fog gate. You want to be a little hesitant, like I said, with fog gates. Take your time, inspect the areas around it, and when you're ready to enter the fog gate, prepare for a battle. Alright, with Sorcery Flame equipped, use Pyromancy with the right bumper, just like any standard attack. So you'll have your Pyromancy Flame in the right hand here, and then you can use the right bumper to use it to attack. Now, it's also telling you to change sorceries with your up direction on the directional pad, but we don't have any other sorceries, so we're just going to use this Pyromancy Fireball. Okay, now, obviously, this is telling us how to do the crit, just like I showed you. And then what do we have here? Left trigger does parry, basically repel an enemy attack, and then after you parry, you'll hear this sound. You'll parry an enemy, and it'll make a specific sound, and then you're going to press the right bumper to riposte, and that just deals another critical attack. It's like a backstab. Whoa, I saw that ghost in the corner of my eye, and I thought the enemy was attacking me, and it was weird because I wasn't expecting that. Alright, but anyways, so I'm going to try to show you, and every enemy has different attack patterns, and the timing is hard to get down. But what I want to do is I want to focus on him with my targeting, and when he comes at me, I want to try to make the timing right and hit my left trigger to block his attack and stagger him. So we're going to try that now. There we go. You heard that special sound, and then we get this sweet looking kill right here. And I get 80 souls from this guy because he's a soldier, not just a standard undead. And we can walk over here and try to open this, but it's locked. Now there's a super awesome item behind this door. It's called the Rusted Iron Ring. I'm going to have a video below. Check it out. That's how you get it. You need the F2 West key this time to open this door. Okay, so now let's go through this fog gate. And before we do, I want to double fist this weapon here so I can deal even more damage. And we're going to look below, and there is that fat boy just waiting. We're going to deal our plunging attack with our right bumper. Okay, now I'm going to get away from him, give myself some space. And I'm going to switch to my Pyromancy Flame. What we'll do is we'll wait until he throws his hammer down. Now that he's done that, I can throw my flame, deal some nice damage there. Hit him with a fireball again. And we'll come in one more time. That should do the trick. Oh, looks like we need one more hit. So you can see how effective Pyromancy is. It can keep you at a safe distance away from the enemy's attacks. And you can deal pretty significant damage to enemies like that. Now, if I was in close hitting him with my weapon, I wouldn't be dealing quite that much damage. So it would be a much greater risk for me because I'm not dealing as much damage and I'm in harm's way. So it's just better all around for that instance. Alright, so this is the area that we're going to enter now. You saw that we got a key from that guy. So we're using the big Pilgrim's Key. And he also gave us a nice little chunk of souls for this early level. Alright, so what do we have here? Good job. Go straight ahead. Yeah, that's great and everything, but not all times do you want to listen to what's written on the floor. You'll have people leave messages to mislead you. You'll like come to this edge and it'll say try jumping, and that's just some guy trying to get you to kill yourself. So don't always do what you read, but take things into account. You know, if you're having a trouble with an area, read the notes on the ground. There might be some good bit of information there for you. And the reason that I say don't necessarily do exactly what that note said is because you would be missing out on a couple items right here. So there's one down here, and it's funny because there's people that have played this game a million times and they never knew about that soul sitting there because they wouldn't explore this area. And like I said, this game is about exploration. There's no set direction that you're supposed to head in this game. It's very much choose your own path. There are a few things that you have to do in sequential order, but besides that, it's all about exploration and playing at your own pace. So when you come over here, you're going to see this crow's nest.
You, give me warm, give me soft.
Okay, and obviously that, if you're anything like me, hearing that sound is just annoying. I hate it. I hate this sound. It's the Snuggly the Crow. Snuggly the Crow is a weird, interesting character. It's really impossible to know how this thing works unless you're watching a video like this. So I'm going to put a link down below on how you actually interact with Snuggly, and you can exchange items that you get for better items, and it's just really weird. Something that I don't want to explain to you right now because it's probably confusing, but if you're at a certain point in the game where you feel like you're a little bit more advanced, check out that video so you can learn more on how to exchange with Snuggly. So you can read this note. It says try pyromancy. That's kind of silly. Alright, so here we got the beautiful atmosphere in the background. That looks pretty sweet. So be careful when you're walking back. Now you're going to go back to the middle path here. And now you can exit this area. So this is the way you get off of the asylum. You're going to come here and a crow's going to pick you up and take you to this new area. This is Firelink Shrine. This is kind of like the central hub of the game. This is an area where you spend a lot of time. So you're going to, this thing just like stays on the screen for much longer than it should. Okay, so now you're going to rest at this bonfire here. It's already lit so you can rest at it. And you see something different happen. We've got 10 Estus flasks. And that happened because this bonfire has been kindled. And what the kindling means is that you had humanity, you were in your human form, and you spent a humanity to kindle a bonfire. So to become human, you have to reverse hollowing. And to reverse hollowing, you need humanity. And that's why it says I have no humanity. You have your humanity counter is that 00 thing to the left of your health bar. If you have 1 humanity, it'll say 1 humanity. Now there's 2 forms of humanity. There's soft humanity. The soft humanity is what you have in your counter right now, and I have 0 soft humanity. And then there's just regular humanity, which is something that you'll have in your inventory. So let's check my inventory and see if I've got any of that. And there's 1 humanity. So if I wanted to become my human self, I would equip this item, consume it, and then I would use it at the bonfire to restore humanity. Once that's done, we've got another friend here just hanging out. Once that's done, I would kindle the bonfire. And this bonfire can't be kindled because I'm hollow, and also it's already been kindled to its capacity up to this point in the game. So early in the game, you can only kindle bonfires to where they give you plus 10 Estus flasks. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's really important. Something that you should do at every bonfire you encounter, because anytime you die, you want to have 10 Estus flasks versus 5. It's just something that you should have. Alright everybody, so I'm going to finish this episode here, and I'm going to exit the game. And to do that, I'm going to get off this bonfire, and we're going to hit over to this menu screen and do quit game. And when you quit game, it's just going to bring you to the main menu screen, and then you can actually, you have to leave the game itself. It doesn't just actually leave the game completely when you hit quit game. It brings you to the title screen. Okay everybody, so thanks a lot for checking it out, and stay tuned for episode 2 of this complete walkthrough. Thanks for checking out my video. If you enjoyed it, click the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel and social media accounts to keep current with Paper Planes updates. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.